What happens when a rocket scientist decides to revolutionize leg fashion? Well, you get Vanja Komatina, a PhD in political sciences who somehow convinced 429,000 people that nylons are the hottest thing since sliced bread. And here's the kicker, she refuses to wear any heel under 10 centimeters, ever. We're talking about a woman who's turned pantyhose into a personality and made it work so well that Gen Z is actually Googling how to wear nylons without irony. But before you write her off as just another Instagram model with a leg fetish, buckle up. Because this woman's resume reads like someone playing career bingo on expert mode, and her influence strategy is so calculated it makes political campaigns look amateur. Today we're diving deep into how a Balkan beauty queen with a doctorate became the unofficial ambassador of hosiery and why her success formula is pure genius. Let's start with the obvious question. Who the hell is Vanja Komatina? Because her bio reads like someone was playing Mad Libs with impressive credentials and accidentally created a real person. First up, the pageant resume that would make Miss Universe contestants weep. We're talking Miss Balkan, Miss Fashion, Miss Best Body, and Miss Diamond of the World. That's not a resume, that's a collection achievement in the beauty industry. But plot twist number 1, homegirl didn't stop there and decide to rest on her tiara-wearing laurels. No, she went and got a PhD in political sciences, a freaking doctorate. While most influencers are struggling to spell entrepreneur in their bios, Vanja's out here with legitimate academic credentials that could land her a job analyzing international relations. That's like finding out your favorite TikTok dancer also happens to be a neurosurgeon on weekends. And physically, we're talking about a 6-foot blonde goddess from the Balkans who looks like she was designed by a committee of Renaissance artists with unlimited budgets. But here's where most people would play it safe. Maybe go into modeling or acting, keep things conventional. Not Vanja. This woman looked at the fashion industry and said, you know what's missing? An obsessive focus on nylons and extremely high heels. And somehow, she made that work. Now, here's where things get really interesting, because Vanja didn't just pick a random niche, she resurrected a fashion trend that everyone had declared dead and buried. For the past decade, nylons and pantyhose have been fashion's equivalent of that relative nobody talks about at family gatherings. Millennials abandoned them faster than low-rise jeans. Gen Z never even gave them a chance, and fashion magazines were writing obituaries for hosiery like it was extinct species. Enter Vanja with her 10-centimeter minimum heel rule, and suddenly, everyone's paying attention. Because when you're towering at 6 feet, and then add another 4+ inches of stiletto, people notice. But it's not just about the height, it's about the complete aesthetic she's created. See, most fashion influencers play it safe. They follow trends, they copy what's working, they stay in their lane. Vanja took a completely different approach. She decided to become the definitive authority on something most people had forgotten existed. While everyone else was fighting over the same oversaturated niches, she quietly built an empire around leg fashion. And the psychology behind it is brilliant. High heels elongate the leg, nylons create a smooth, polished finish, and the combination creates this impossibly elegant silhouette that photographs like a dream. It's old Hollywood glamour with a modern twist, and it works because it's so distinctly different from what everyone else is doing. But here's the genius part. She's not just wearing nylons, she's making them aspirational again. Her content makes pantyhose look like luxury items instead of something your grandmother wore to church. She's single-handedly convincing a generation raised on bare legs and sneakers that maybe, just maybe, there's something to this whole hosiery thing. The numbers don't lie either. Her posts consistently get engagement rates that would make mega influencers jealous, because she's not competing with a million other fashion accounts. She owns her space completely. Now, this is where that PhD starts making sense, because Vanja's approach to social media influence reads like someone who actually studied how to change minds and shape opinions. Think about it, political science is essentially the study of how to gain and maintain power, how to influence public opinion, and how to create movements. And that's exactly what she's done, just with fashion instead of policy. Her content strategy is methodical in a way that screams academic training. She doesn't just post random outfit photos, every piece of content serves a purpose. Instagram for the polished, aspirational shots that showcase the complete aesthetic. TikTok for the quick, trend-driven content that reaches new audiences. YouTube for the longer-form content that builds deeper connections. And the timing? Always consistent. The messaging? Always on brand. The engagement? Always authentic. This isn't accidental. This is someone who understands systems and how to work them. But here's what really sets her apart. She knows how to create urgency without being pushy. Political campaigns create urgency around voting deadlines and policy changes. Vanja creates urgency around fashion choices and style evolution. Her content makes you feel like you're missing out if you're not exploring this aesthetic, but it never feels desperate or salesy. The pageant background makes sense too, because pageants are essentially about personal branding and public presentation under pressure. She learned how to command attention, how to stand out in a crowded field, and how to maintain composure while being scrutinized. Those skills translate perfectly to social media influence. And the international appeal? That's not accidental either. Coming from the Balkans gives her this exotic appeal to Western audiences, while her polished aesthetic appeals to global fashion sensibilities. She's positioned herself as both accessible and aspirational, which is incredibly difficult to pull off. Here's what most people miss about Vanja's influence. She's not just building a personal brand, she's actually shifting cultural attitudes about femininity and fashion. For years, the fashion industry has been pushing this narrative that modern women don't have time for complicated fashion. No time for heels, no time for hosiery, no time for anything that requires effort. Everything had to be comfortable, practical, Instagram-ready, but effortless looking. Vanja's entire aesthetic is the opposite of that narrative. Her look requires intention, effort, and commitment. Those 10-centimeter heels aren't comfortable for grocery shopping. Nylons require care and attention. Her style is deliberately high maintenance, and she's made that aspirational instead of burdensome. That's a pretty radical statement in today's fashion landscape. She's essentially arguing that sometimes effort is worth it, that sometimes looking polished and put together is its own form of self-expression and empowerment. And the body positivity angle is subtle but powerful. At 6 feet tall, Vanja could easily feel pressure to minimize her height, wear flats, try to blend in. Instead, she doubles down with those massive heels and owns every inch of her presence. That sends a pretty clear message to tall women everywhere. Take up space, be seen, don't apologize for your dimensions. The ripple effects are already visible. Hosiery sales are actually trending upward for the first time in years. Fashion brands are starting to collaborate with nylon influencers. Young women are posting outfit photos with hashtags like Nylon Challenge and Heel Addict. She's created a micro-trend that's becoming a macro movement, and that's the kind of cultural influence that goes way beyond follower counts. So where does this all lead? Because Vanja's success isn't just about her, it's a blueprint for how niche fashion influence can work in an oversaturated market. The lesson here is crystal clear. Instead of trying to compete in oversaturated spaces, find your corner and own it completely. Become the undisputed authority on something specific, and build from there. Vanja didn't try to be another generic fashion influencer, she became the nylon and high heel influencer. And the timing couldn't be better. As social media algorithms get more sophisticated, they're actually rewarding specificity over generality. The platforms want to show users content that's exactly what they're looking for, not just generally appealing. The future belongs to influencers who can create genuine communities around specific interests, not just accumulate followers who might vaguely like their content. Vanja's audience doesn't just follow her, they're actively interested in her specific niche, which means higher engagement, better conversion rates, and more sustainable influence. Plus, there's something refreshing about an influencer who's not trying to be everything to everyone. In a world where most content creators are desperately chasing every trend and algorithm change, Vanja's consistency is actually radical. Look, whether you're ready to embrace the nylon renaissance or not, you can't deny that Vanja Komatina has figured something out that most influencers haven't. She's taken academic strategy, pageant presentation skills, and a very specific fashion obsession, and turned it into a movement that's actually changing how people think about style. So here's my challenge for you. What's your version of the 10-centimeter heel rule? What's the one thing you could own so completely that people think of you first when they hear about it? Because if a political scientist can make pantyhose cool again, imagine what you could do with whatever you're passionate about. Drop a comment and let me know if you're Team Vanja or if you think this whole nylon thing is just an elaborate joke on all of us. And if you want more deep dives into fashion rebels who are quietly changing the game, smash that subscribe button because we're just getting started with this series. Trust me, you don't want to miss what we're covering next.